It was December 18th, 2005. I was over at my best friend's house. He had a friend, or he claims his cousin, was staying there. He whispers, "It's a blank in the gun and 2 real bullets in the gun." He pointed at me in my direction. I stood up, I said, what are you doing? And it went off. It connected right here. I saw all the blood rushing down my face. I tried to move my right arm, and I couldn't. And I'm just like, why me? Why out of all people did it happen to me?
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 106 of the Andrew Deitsch podcast. If this is your first time checking it out, I really appreciate you guys. There's a million other things you could be listening to, so I really appreciate you taking the time to check it out. And if you don't know already, this show is about having meaningful in-person conversations with the most fascinating people that I know. I love talking to people who are doing big things, making a difference, and I let them share their stories with me. So if you're listening to the audio version, I just want to let you know there is a video version of the podcast now here in my brand new studio, which is pretty cool if you want to see me and my guests. But you can check it out on YouTube. If you're watching the video version and you don't feel like sticking around for the whole thing, you can pick back up and listen to the audio only version while you're doing all kinds of other important stuff like cooking, cleaning, driving, running, whatever. You can find the audio podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. I'm pretty much everywhere. So before we jump into the show, I just want to mention that this episode has been brought to you by the Andrew Deitsch Podcast Internship Program. And the podcast is obviously growing, and we're hiring some interns. We're going to need some people around here to help out with what we got going on. But we don't need, just silly old coffee runners or just busy workers. We're looking for some actual additions to our team. We're looking for people with an entrepreneurial spirit, a passion for learning, an open mind, and a solid understanding of podcast and social media culture. So if you or anyone you know is looking for opportunities in Atlanta, in video production, audio editing, graphic design, animation, photography, social media strategy, public relations, podcast scheduling, prep, research, script writing, or copywriting, that's a lot of stuff, then please visit andrewdeitsch.com/internships for all the details and to apply. My guest today is Christian Kimbrough. He's the founder of Revive Minds. And when Christian was 13, he was actually the victim of senseless gun violence. And he received a bullet wound to the head, which is pretty gnarly. It's a complete miracle that he didn't die, of course, but because of the accident, he had to relearn how to walk, talk, and eat. And it is pretty nuts. The fact that he's here today is just miraculous, like I said. But today he's using his story to impact young people throughout his company, Revive Minds. And Revive Minds is focused on education about gun violence, the power of association, overcoming obstacles, and much more through his public speaking, volunteering, and nonprofit fundraising. And he's basically just trying to create an army of young leaders who want to live their purpose and inspire others to do the same. So during our conversation, we talked all about his accident, how it happened, overcoming his obstacles like depression, and changing his mindset. And this was a really great episode. So please, without any further ado, welcome my friend, Christian Kimbrough. Christian Kimbrough.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? I said it correctly.
Yes, you did. You did. Nice to be here.
Dude. I appreciate you being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Dude, so to give people a little backstory, we met at a party.
Yes.
For Morgan Ingram.
Yes.
And he was like, "Oh, you got to meet my friend Christian. He's really cool." Mm-hmm. And we started talking, and you were telling me your story. I'm like, right. Dude, you need to be on my podcast,
I have
man.
to be on the podcast.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
I love interesting stories. I love stories of inspiration stuff, but also not only just have you been an inspiration to people, but right. You're also proactively doing things, right. And making a change and stuff out there, which is pretty dope.
I'm trying to, man. I'm trying to affect the world one mind at a time, man.
That's awesome, bro. Well, for people that don't know, if you meet someone real fast on an elevator or something like that, what do you they say, what do you do? What's your typical kind of go-to?
My brand is called Revive Minds. My motto is change the way you think, reverse the way you live. I do speaking engagements. I talk to kids about gun safety and gun awareness because you could be a good kid just at the wrong place, wrong time like I was. I also have a clothing brand with positive messages on them. And it's all trickling down into my business, and so I just want to promote that throughout the nation, throughout the world, basically. So
for sure, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll get into your story in just a second, because that's like kind of the pivotal thing that caused you to go into this. But obviously right now, like gun violence, a lot of that is consuming the news.
Right.
I mean, literally, like yesterday there was an incident, or maybe a couple of days ago in Alabama at a mall.
To be honest, man, I don't even watch the news.
Yeah.
I get all of my facts on Facebook.
Yeah, man. I'm with you. I watch, do you know Philip DeFranco? Have you ever watched him before?
I think so.
He's like a YouTuber. He has like a news show. I pretty much watch him. Like he does a good job of just picking out like the 5 or 6 like stories of the day, giving them like really quickly, precisely, and then kind of giving a quick opinion on it. Like I really appreciate what he does, because typically the news is going to be half full of advertisements, half full of sensationalism,
full of the crap they want to add in. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not sponsored by Philip DeFranco or anything, but I really appreciate him. But like obviously with gun violence and everything that's going on in America, it's been a pretty huge topic, especially this year.
Yeah, and a couple recent years, I would like to add. So it's just the school shootings, the mass shootings. It's like the shootings that they don't even televise. They just let it go by. So
exactly,
I just like to cause I would just like to inform people about that and on what's going on and how to prevent it before it starts.
Yeah, and you do that through educating the youth, right? Educating young people, because obviously, if we can educate young people, they eventually grow up to be adults. Right. And if you can change, and probably they're at the most changeable, moldable age, you can educate them at that point. They're gonna grow up and be forever changed.
And I like to hit them with like in the middle school area, just like, because that's the most pivotal age for me. That's, well, like I say in my video, it's just like that's the most pivotal age, because they're still figuring out what's what. Exactly. They're still figuring out what they want to do. They're still figuring out things in life. In high school, you think you know everything. When you get to a certain grade, you think you know everything. And so I just like to hit them like basically the 12 to 13 range, because I know personally for me, that's when I got hip to everything that was going around in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're going through puberty, you're trying to figure out what's cool, you're trying to impress girls, you're trying to do all kinds of stuff. Right. I feel you, man. Yeah. So, and obviously around that time, you were 13 when you had your accident, right?
I was 13.
So kind of, just to go back on your story, so where were you born, where'd you grow up, all that, kind of give us all the details.
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. I moved different places, single parent household. I was basically spoiled out of my mind I've never seen my mom hold a job, but she had the hustle mentality. So, I guess she never let me want for anything, basically. I was real big into wrestling, everything like that. So she took me to a couple shows, and everything was cool.
Like professional wrestling, like WWE, or like
Yes.
That's funny.
I could give you my top 5 right now, man.
Who's top 5?
Man, Shawn Michaels number 1, Razor Ramon. People don't know Razor Ramon. I love Razor Ramon. the cool bad guy, the first cool bad guy. We got Undertaker, we got Stone Cold, and let's see. I don't even know how we got on this subject, but I think probably Bret Hart.
There we go.
Yeah.
I was never like super into WWE, but I know some of the names and stuff just from like listening to like certain podcasts and stuff. People are always talking about their like favorite wrestling people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was watching a video recently about that with it was Jake the Snake, somebody.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
He was on Rogan's podcast the other day talking about all kinds of crazy stuff, because he would have the actual snake. Right. Yeah. He had some crazy stories. Yeah, but so you said your mom would take you to all those and stuff like that?
My mom would take me to everything, like, front row seats, everything.
That's
like
awesome.
when it came to that aspect, she knew what to do because I was so spoiled, man, in that regard. So yeah. So that's a little bit about me. When I was
And you grew
13,
up in Arkansas pretty much the whole time?
The whole time. I didn't leave Arkansas until I was 21.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'm 26 now. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and you wanted to know.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously we're kind of leading up to the point where you had your accident, but, like, before that, your life was, like, pretty typical.
A's and B's. Well, all A's student.
Nice.
You know, not gang affiliated. You know, not. I did everything by the book. You know, everybody loved me. Didn't have an enemy. Didn't have, you know, person that thought negative of me. It's just I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. Yeah. So
tell me about when did that happen? So you were a victim of nonsensical gun violence, right? Basically. So kind of walk us through like what happened.
So it was December 18th, 2005. I was over my best friend's house, and we've been best friends since in second grade. So I would go over his house, he would go to my house, and we just flip-flopped every weekend since the second grade, you know. And I remember what movie we watched. We went out to the movies and, you know, grabbed some IHOP. You remember this movie called Eon Flux with Charlize Theron?
I never saw it, but I remember when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a futuristic sci-fi
movie.
kind of movie. Yeah.
I like that. I like you because nobody seems to remember that movie. I heard it flopped. In the box office.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's pretty significant in your brain.
Pretty significant in my head.
Yeah.
So and we went to IHOP to grab some pancakes, and we came back. And he had a friend, or he claims his cousin, was staying there. And I didn't know this guy from a can of paint. You know, I know he was like 18, 19. But, you know, his name should remain anonymous because, you know, I don't want to say his name. But, you know, we were all buddy at the time, you know, never had ill will towards me. You know, we didn't even know each other long enough to have any bad blood or anything like that. And plus, I'm a 13-year-old kid. Yeah, whatever. So, yeah.
You stole my candy. Like, you know, like that's whatever. About the extent of it.
We have to dig a little bit deeper in that. He couldn't get in the house. We came back to the house. He couldn't get in the house. His mom dropped us off, and we go upstairs. He just sitting in the driveway, just cold. We go upstairs, and I'm gonna lay out this for you. His house is the biggest on the block. I'm talking about like the very biggest on the block. And so
nice house.
Very nice house. But old house, but nice house.
And you said this guy was locked out or something?
Yeah, he was locked out because, you know, he was staying over there for the weekend. He was staying in the attic for the weekend.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, we finally let him in. It's cold. December 18th is very cold. And so he goes in the room, and his mom goes up to the bathroom. Go upstairs to go to the bathroom. And so she says, "Hey, my best friend, go downstairs and give me some tissue." Graphic, I know, but whatever, TMI.
Yeah.
But he comes, the cousin, best friend or whatever, he comes from the attic and into the room, in the doorway of the room. And he whispers, "It's a blank in the gun and 2 real bullets in the gun."
To you?
And to me. And I'm getting undressed, you know. And I stood up. I said, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting me in this situation? You know, that's the
because he has a gun in his hand?
He has a 38 special. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. I still don't deal with guns to this day.
Yeah.
But,
understandable.
Yeah, very understandable. But he says he has a 38 special. Well, I didn't know what the kind of the gun it was, but you know, he came up to me and he pointed at me in my direction, and I stood up and I said, "Hey man, you know, what are you doing? Don't point the gun at me." And it went off. and right here, it connected right here.
Wow.
And it stopped back here. So like all of this, like I saw all the blood rushing down my face. Like I blacked out for a little minute when I was standing up. Yeah, when I was standing up. And so I blacked out, and I'm naturally right-handed. Mm-hmm. I do everything with my right. I used to do everything with my right. Now I can do majority, what I can do with my left, except right. I can't. My handwriting is horrible with my left. But came in the room and, shot me. I black out, and I tried to move. When I opened my eyes, I tried to move my right arm, and I couldn't. But, your left controls the right side of your body.
Wow.
I didn't know that. Fun fact, I learned that when I was in the hospital bed. So,
makes sense.
Yeah. So I tried to move my right arm, couldn't do it. And it was just hanging out on, just hanging by the wayside.
What was your immediate thing? Just why the heck did this guy shoot me?
Yeah, and
it's probably all kind of a whirlwind of emotions.
It's a whirlwind of emotions, and I'm just like, why me? Why out of all people that it happened to me? Did everything right, but at the same time, it's a piercing hot feeling. It feels like King Kong punches you in the face.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah. Right. And, it's just piercing hot. So I had to think about all of that. I had to tend to that right now. And so I feel the side of my face with my left hand. And I saw all the blood rushing down my face into puddles. Yeah. And I'm like, wow. And so, only thing I see is his face is a complete shock. He was just like, oh my God. For the audio people that can't see it, it's just like bug-eyed.
Yeah.
Home Alone,
like,
Home Alone, kind of,
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin, like, oh my God. And so he ran out screaming. He shot himself. After he put the gun in my hand. He put the gun in my right arm.
Wow.
So, it was a little.
And you put it in your right arm, but you were shot in the left. Like, why are you gonna?
It didn't add up. That's what the police said. That's what the detective said. They was like, it didn't add up. Why would I do this? Yeah. So, it's just like,
sticking your right arm on the left side of your head.
Yeah, I want to shoot myself from the right side with, it was crazy.
Odd.
So, I blacked out again.
And so so for context of the house, his mom was in the bathroom.
Mom was in the bathroom waiting for the tissue.
Toilet paper. Yeah, like literally.
Yeah.
And your friend was going to get the
right.
And so while all that happens, that's when it goes down.
It's when it went down. Yeah. So just to say, he has a pretty big house.
Yeah.
So
were you screaming, or were you like?
I wasn't screaming.
He was screaming.
He was screaming, but
he shot himself.
I was calm through the whole situation. Well,
probably in shock too,
to say the very least. Yeah. But the only thing I remember before I blacked out is the EMTs finally got there. Now I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. It was in the hoodest area, so didn't nobody want to come over there. But when they finally came over there, came up to the room, and it was like, oh man, this doesn't look good at all. I don't think he's gonna make it. And
I mean, when you get shot in the head,
in direct, it was almost the middle.
How far away was it? Like, how far away was he from you?
About 7 yards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so point blank, from where I am right now, to that corner, that corner of the wall. And they was like, man, I don't think he's gonna make it. And so then I black out. They rushed me into the ambulance, and I didn't wake up until December 25th on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's a nice Christmas present for your parents.
Yeah, nice Christmas present for my parents, man. So they were calling me the Christmas miracle, but I didn't know that I woke up on Christmas Day because everything was so hazy, everything.
Yeah.
So I thought I woke up the day after Christmas. So I used to tell everybody, man, I woke up the day after Christmas. I'm a blessing, everything. But my mom a couple of years later, my mom was like, what? Because I think I was trying to get my mom to review something because I was trying to send it to like a natural. I was trying to get on TV to share my story with the world.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, son.
It was actually
I had to write a
Christmas,
paragraph. Yeah. She was like, no, it was actually Christmas Day. You might not remember, but you open your eyes on Christmas Day. So I was like, oh, okay. And so, it became a little hazy at the time.
For sure.
But so I woke up on Christmas Day.
Did the kid ever end up going to jail or anything? Or
man, I really don't know. I heard he had somebody working for him on the inside. Well, that's what my friend told me before she passed.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said, oh yeah, he had somebody working for him on the inside, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I wasn't too much worried about his situation and what he was doing or whatever, because I didn't even know him.
Yeah.
My whole mindset was, why did it happen to me? Going through all this stuff, and how do I evolve from here? Like, where do I go from here? Yeah. Because when I woke up, when I actually remember myself waking up, it was, basically I was tied up to the bed, and couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so they were saying that I was fighting my sleep. I was trying to get up, and they thought I could. Well, I thought I could walk.
Yeah.
So later on down the line, I'll just pull my catheter out and just act. What normal people do, not realizing that I've been shot in the head. I need to sit down. I don't have a brain. I don't have a brain. I don't have a skull protecting my left side.
So if you fell or something?
If I fell, it would have been over. It would have been over, because this part right here. Hold on, I think this is a good time to bring.
Yeah, bring out the skull, bro.
The skull, yeah. So
the skull model. This is a model of your actual skull, right?
A replica of my actual skull, and I bring this to all the presentations that I do, just to let them know that it's real. Yeah. So this right here, was all gone. All of this was.
So if you're watching the video podcast, you can see this. He's got his replica skull.
Yeah, from 13 years old.
So did they make this for you at the hospital, or did you have to request it later?
They made it for me at the hospital.
Wow.
Because the reason they made it for me at the hospital, because they was like,
can I see?
Yeah. It was no chance. Like, they weren't giving me any chance. And so, but I was so calm about it, and they were trying to say it was remarkable.
That is amazing. So the bullet entered up here?
Mm-hmm. Pieces of my brain, obviously was, gone off. But then the bullet actually stopped. Yeah,
you can kind of see there's like a little dent on the back of his head. Yeah. You can kind of see it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So is that like 3D printed, or how did they make that? Do you know?
To be honest, I do not know.
I feel like it had to be 3D
because
printed.
I got it when I was young. Yeah. Young, so.
But because that was 13 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't even. That must have been like pretty high tech, like to make that for that. Because even though 13 years ago is not that long ago, right. I think 3D printing technology has like increased by so much. Because to make a mold of it would be really, really intricate and hard. Mm-hmm. And like you can kind of see the lines on it. Anyways, not to get too nerdy about it, but it's really cool, man. That's really, really dope. Can we leave it on the table or something?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of want to.
And then this is my plate.
So that's the other side.
Yeah, that's the plate that they.
So that's made of metal.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when did you kind of undergo the surgery? Like after the injury? So you woke up on Christmas Day.
Right.
We can move around this stuff. Doesn't matter.
I actually had to undergo surgery. I think they had to pull the bullet out of my head because they didn't want to pull the bullet out of my head because it was swelling up so bad. Mm-hmm. And so they were telling my mom, they were like, "Okay, we know he lived, but it's a slight possibility that he might die because the brain, the bullet is swelling up so bad around his brain." Wow. And so my mom was trying to get prepared as she could for that. And so they had to take the bullet out. The brains subsided, and they had to take the bullet out. And
so did they came in through the top part, or like where did they come in?
Yeah, they came in through the top part, and where it stopped at, they came in through the top part and just plucked it out.
Wow. So the bullet was still intact.
I'm pretty sure it was way more to it than that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was easy. We just cut it open,
just plug it out,
plucked it right out.
Yeah, just plug it out. But that's hilarious though. Now that I'm thinking about it. But so they took the bullet out. I think it was on the 18th or the 19th, one of those days.
Of January?
Not sure. No, of December.
Oh, so they did this before you woke up?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So you don't remember any of the surgery or anything like that? When did they put the plate in?
Fun fact, I didn't get the plate until June of next year.
Oh, wow.
June. So I had to wait.
So this was 2005, so it was 2006 when you got the plate.
I had to wait I was homeschooled.
Wow.
I had to ride around with the helmet.
Wow, because there was literally a piece of your skull that was missing.
I used to hate that helmet.
I'm sure.
I used to hate that helmet.
Dorky as hell, probably.
Man, I'm trying to get girls, and I'm trying to ride in style, man. And my mom, every time my mom, we go somewhere or whatever, she has to take me to like physical therapy or speech therapy or whatever. She was like, you got to put that helmet on, right? I was like, nope, not doing it. But what if I crash? Nope, not doing it. And so
literally, you would rather be caught dead than be wearing the helmet, like literally.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess we all know who won that battle. Because I used to be crazy. I used to snap on my mom, man. It's just when I first got out of that situation that I was in, I used to go crazy, and I never like talked to my mom in that manner,
I've actually heard of a decent amount of stories of traumatic brain injuries where people drastically like change their demeanor. Even I've heard like comedians actually, like a lot of times after their injury, they like became funnier and like more sassy and more like crazy.
I just got more angry. I don't understand.
Because the part of your brain that was affected, what is that part of the brain responsible for?
So it's a part of like the comprehension, your ability to like get words out. I heard I was hit in the front lobe, so everything, the front left lobe, controls, then that went away.
Wow.
So,
and I know that the brain is like super, like almost kind of like Jello, right? So if you shoot Jello, the bullet's going to go through it. It's going to destroy some parts, but like there's still going to be some stuff intact.
That I can still I still knew what everything was.
Yeah.
The problem was
because it was still contained in your head. Like your head didn't like explode.
Right.
It was still kind of bouncing around in there, but there's still a lot of damage, I'm sure.
Right. So the only thing I couldn't do was walk, talk, eat. I couldn't eat.
Wow.
And I couldn't move the right side of my body.
Wow.
So I had to learn.
So completely right side of your body, couldn't move, couldn't walk, because obviously you couldn't move right side of your body.
Correct.
And also just bouncing and shit. Like if you can't move your right arm, like, you can't walk right.
Right.
You couldn't eat, so you had to use a feeding tube or something?
Yeah, and I lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
Them feeding me through a feeding tube. I remember.
And I'm sure 13-year-old, you probably weren't super heavy.
I was like all of what, 130, 125 pounds,
Yeah.
And so I used to be so angry. This is later on down a line with the story, but I used to pull the feeding tube out of my I just didn't care. I was just like
kind of like pulling out the catheter, pulling out the stuff. Yeah.
Like I want food now.
Like real food.
Yeah, real food.
Yeah.
And my Nana, God rest her soul, she was just like, y'all need to get in here to fix this boy something to eat, like for real this time, because I would just take it out. Like I was like, they had to give me a eating test, a chew test. That was what they call it, to see if I can chew, because they didn't know with my brain was telling me, it's like, okay, his brain might be telling him, he might be telling us something his brain isn't ready for yet. And so they had to put me in the chew test. And when they noticed that I could chew really, really good, it was like, okay, yeah, we're pulling the plug on this one. Yeah, he can eat real food.
I'm sure that was amazing.
That was so amazing.
What was the first meal you had after?
Man, I don't know. Sweet potato pie, ham,
That's
everything,
awesome. That's
everything.
Awesome.
So, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself with the story.
It's all good. It's all good. So take me back to like the hospital though. So like when did you actually get out? Because I'm sure like a lot of people are probably thinking, damn, you got a gunshot wound to the head. You're probably chilling in the hospital for a good while.
Yeah. I was only in the hospital for a month and a week.
Still, month and a week is like.
Yeah. I mean, but to
sucks.
some people, that's freaking fast. You know?
Yeah.
From a gunshot to the head.
You're like, wow, only
I think the bullets are like that big. And so like that had to, affect me in some kind of way. But I was a quick learner because I was just like, I got the mindset of was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm tired of moping. I miss my bed because they had to put me in a straitjacket. They had to put me in a straitjacket like twice because I didn't go to sleep. I was angry. My mom, she would lose sleep at night because she was watching me. I stayed up for a whole 4 days. Wow. Man. And she was like, man, y'all got to inject my baby with something because he's not going to sleep.
Yeah.
He's not going to sleep. So they injected me with some sleeping aid. I don't know what.
So you were up for days. You were angry. You were trying to probably walk and like, were you trying to like get out of bed and stuff? Like as soon as somebody.
I was trying desperately to get out of bed. If I don't know what it's called, but they strap your feet.
Yeah, there's like restraints on the bed
harness,
or whatever.
Yeah. And so like I would try to take it off because it'll be just like little wrist,
like a strap kind of thing,
like little wrist straps, and I try to desperately to pick it off. Yeah. But as best as I could.
Yeah. Because it's weird, I'm sure, for the doctors and for your parents and everything, because like, they know that they're trying to do this to help you. Right. Because if you go try to walk and you fall on your head or whatever, you're gonna be out like a light. Yeah. Like,
Hey.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like damn it. Like a light. Yeah. But not fun.
Yeah. Not fun at all. Risk your life. Yeah.
Oh my God, we could write a whole parody song. Right. But yeah, it's like for your own good, right? Like one time that there's a crazy story. My grandpa, we were in this is a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. Like we were in a hurricane shelter because it was a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, when there was that crazy hurricane that hit like Tampa and all that. And so me and my dad went down there to like help my grandparents. So we actually went to a hurricane shelter, spent the night there. Oh wow! And my grandpa had like mild dementia, and like just being in the hurricane shelter with all these people he didn't know, and in the dark, the power was out, all this stuff. Like he was freaking out, hallucinating, having all kinds of stuff. He was fighting people. Right. He was ripping off his clothes. Right. Like I mean, it was horrifying.
Everything that your grandfather went through, I've been through it, but not. Yeah.
And it was nuts, man. Like he was trying to fight everybody. He was yelling and screaming and cussing, and like it was the worst night of my life. And it was the worst because we were just like, Grandpa, you just need to go to sleep. And he thought that there was like people trying to get him. He was having like almost like PTSD kind of stuff. Like it was nuts. Right. And like I can kind of relate because it was like, dude, the one thing he needs to do is sleep. Right. That's the one thing. Because if he sleeps, he can get some rest.
And they're trying to help me out. Yeah. Not knowing that I don't have a skull right here. So if they try to do me a certain way and I jerk a certain way, it can affect me.
Exactly. And that's actually what was happening with my grandpa too. He had really bad knees and stuff. He was using a walker. He would typically not even walk anywhere. And he had his wheelchair, and he was trying to get up out of his wheelchair all the time. We're like, if he tries to walk around, he's gonna fall and he's gonna probably die. And we're in this hurricane shelter where there's no fire trucks that can get to us, no ambulances that can get to us. Right.
Everything is in-house.
Literally everything's in-house. I mean, there's some policemen and stuff. Like it was gnarly. And luckily there was police in there that were very accommodating, very understandable, but like it got really bad. Yeah. So I can imagine, bro. It's crazy. because everyone's in the best interest, and you're not all the way there mentally
at all.
You're freaking out. You just want to get out.
First of all, like I see the guy's face, you know, like everywhere. It's just like
the guy who shot you.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, the guy that shot me's face.
So that was
everywhere.
like kind of haunting you.
Right.
Weird.
Right. So, you know,
Dude,
it's just a little stuff stuff to overcome, but you know, I just had my breaking point. Like I was woken up by my grandfather. My grandfather came in there. My papa came in there. He said, "Christian, you can hear me? You can hear me? Just nod your head if you can hear me." And I couldn't nod my head, but I was just like, and you know, just
so
like a little motion.
You were thinking like, I'm trying to nod my head, but I can't.
Yeah.
But you did something with your hands, or whatever.
Right. So I did something with my hands, and he was like, "Oh yeah, okay. He's kicking. You know, he's alive and kicking. We haven't lost him yet, but you know, that whole thing where you get shot and you see the light and everything. Yeah. I don't think that's real.
Yeah,
that wasn't real for me.
Huh. So
Except the light from going into the ambulance, that blinding light to go into the ambulance. But that's...
So, yeah, man, it's crazy. So, like, when I'm sure doctors have told you a million times, like, you should be dead. Like, you know, getting shot in the head. If the gun would have been angled slightly, angle to the left or whatever. If I would have got
shot with a 22, the bullets bounce around. You know, I would have been dead. Wow. You know, so
because the fact it was bigger, it just stopped dead in its tracks. Whatever. Weird. Yeah.
But I'm not even sure how big a bullet from a 38 is. I'm assuming that big, but you know. Yeah,
and you're probably also thinking when they're telling you that, you're like, yeah, but I also could have probably gotten lucky and it could have pointed it slightly to the right and it could totally miss my head. Yeah, you know, it's like
it's always
like,
those
so lucky,
what
man.
ifs.
You're so lucky you only got shot with this. It's like, well, I could have got lucky
and not got shot at all. Yeah. So but I wouldn't be here talking to you today.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. And I'm sure you heard that a million times. I'm sure you almost got sick of it when you were younger.
Who shot you? There were stories about, you know, who shot who. You know, first it was my best friend that shot me. Then it was I shot myself. Then the truth finally came out to say that he shot me or whatever. But I had to make that known because after the
because also they couldn't ask you, like, you know, you're out for weeks, but, or what how many days was it? A month almost that you were out?
No, I could talk. I think about 3 weeks to a month later.
Okay, gotcha.
So that was the end of the hospital, but I couldn't talk like that though.
Yeah, you couldn't articulate yourself.
I couldn't articulate my words. So they were trying to the detectives were trying to pry my mom, you know, some information prior out of the situation that, you know, occurred. And, you know, I know who shot me, but they couldn't get it out of me because I was either unconscious or I couldn't talk. So when my mom said, once my baby gets something, you know, once he's able to talk, you know, you can bring him back in, because my mama wasn't seeing anybody. Like, she cut off the whole world. Yeah. You know, when I was in ICU, when I was, you know, when they moved me to the room, you know, she still cut everybody off because that was her time to grieve. Only my nana, my pop, and my little sister, who was, I think, 4 at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it was a crazy story. They moved me up on a floor by myself in the big room when they did move me out of ICU, and I kept hearing it was a baby they just put on the side of me, like the room. Yeah.
So it's crying and stuff.
Kept crying, and this is what woke me up out of my coma.
Yeah.
Kept crying, and I raised up. I said, "Hey, Serenity," and my mom looked at me. She was like, she couldn't believe it. She was like, "You saying your sister's name, you know, as your first words?" Because I got tired of all that crying, man. I was just like, what? But my sister was 4, and so that's the typical brother thing to do. So you thought that the crying
was your sister?
Right.
Oh, but it was really a baby next door.
A baby next door. And so, you know, that's crazy.
So were you technically in a coma, or was it like, because I think when people think of, like, you know, you're unconscious or whatever, but you can still hear stuff, like, you hear all those stories of like.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's like I was in a coma for 5 years and I could hear everything, but I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, because when she said it like that, I was unconscious for 7 days. So, but I could still hear. But it also felt like a big dream.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
My grandmother, God rest her soul, she was killed the year around Thanksgiving. I think on Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving 2004, she was killed, or around that time, by her boyfriend, and he shot himself afterwards.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
gun violence is already not.
Gun violence was already problematic.
Wow.
And
in your family, at least.
Yeah, in my family, but
yeah,
in Little Rock, Arkansas, and in places like Chicago and places that I'm trying to reach, it's already problematic. But after my situation, and while I'm unconscious, I got to see her. I saw her. That's the only face I saw. And we had a conversation. I don't know about what, but I saw her mouth move. I saw my mouth move, and next thing I know, just a baby crying. And so I woke up, serenity, and I laid back down. They had to get the nurses in there to lay me back down because my adrenaline was like. Then that's when they had to tie me up. But other than that, that's when I became hostile.
Yeah.
And it finally set in on what happened. I'm like, why am I here? What happened to me? Stuff like that started to set in. So
okay, so let's talk about recovery, because obviously that was a huge thing. You were saying like your mom was taking you to speech therapy and all this kind of stuff. You had to learn how to walk, talk, eat, all that stuff. So what was that like for you? I mean, trying to be a normal 13-year-old and then all of a sudden you're having to relearn how to do all this basic stuff.
A newborn baby.
Wow.
So it was the moment that I wanted to get up and relearn all this other stuff is when my mom rolled me. I was in a wheelchair. So my mom rolled me to, I think we were on the top floor or whatever, and it was downtown Little Rock, Arkansas or whatever. It's a pretty neat place, downtown. And she rolled me out there, and she was like, look, son, because my mom's going to tell me how it is and what, how it's going to play out. And she's pretty good. She said, hey, now you look at that, you see that? And all cars are whizzing by. It's bright early in the morning, sun beaming. She's like, now I want to get out of here, son. I want to get out of here, but we can't move, and until you move, we won't be able to get out of here. So like, that's what I love about my mom. She's like straightforward, honest. She was like, you have to get it together. I know you can do this. I know. She wasn't like rushing me.
Yeah, but she's just telling me how it was.
She was instilling that, in me, like, okay, I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't even. This when they, I think that's when they pulled the tube out of my,
your
feeding tube
out of your throat.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I kept saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Now, learning how to walk was completely fine. Yeah. So like, I wouldn't say fine, but it was like, I was a little gimpy,
Baby giraffe in it.
Yeah. I had a walker,
yeah.
But
you were able to pick it back up.
Yeah. That's what physical therapy is for.
Because your left side could already kind of work, and your right side was like, you kind of had to reteach your right side.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't like, okay, when I say I couldn't move my right side, I couldn't move my right arm.
Okay, gotcha.
But I couldn't not walk.
Gotcha.
At all. But I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this slowly, but I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
So when how far I want to take you back?
Because like the way that I understand the brain works, and obviously this is probably not completely scientific, but like the way that I've kind of heard about things is like the brain has like all these connections, right? All these synapses that are like connecting different, things together. And if you have damage, some of those bridges and pathways get broken, you got to figure out how to build those back.
Merge them
like
back
almost
together.
kind of like memories.
Yeah.
When you have a memory of something and someone sparks a memory, it's kind of in that deep storage. And so like maybe not all those connections are there right now, but when someone says something, oh, you remember that he was wearing a red hat, and you're like,
Right.
oh yeah, that red hat, and it starts, you start making those little connections.
That's exactly what I was going through, but I'll tell you
but
that
physically
in a
and
second.
stuff.
Yeah. It would be some days before the physical therapy where I told you before, I would try to get out of the bed, pull the catheter out, get out of the bed, but once I reached the floor of the floor we were on, I would think I could walk, and only thing my mom heard was splat, and she woke up the whole floor. So that's when I had to get restraints. That's when they put me in a straitjacket, everything like that.
So you got up and tried to walk and fell.
Right, because it's normal.
Yeah, totally.
And I thought I was normal, you know?
Yeah.
So, but.
Did you hit your head?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that probably wasn't good.
Yeah, that wasn't good at all. But it was like on the front side. It was on the front side. It left a dent, but I got over it.
Yeah.
So I learning how to walk was an easy feat. I was comparing the two to learning how to talk again.
Yeah.
Learn how to walk. Okay, I have a walker. Balancing everything like that, but learning how to talk again, I still don't have it. I personally feel like I still don't have it all together, and that's been 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So, right when you said you like red hat or whatever, okay, we used to have this woman who used to come in, and she was the speech therapist, and I used to be really angry. I was like, get her out of here. Get her out of here. I used to be mad at the world, man. I used to, get her out of here. I don't want to, but I couldn't voice that.
Yeah. And actually, my friend Richard, who's in the wheelchair, he would talk about the guy in the wheelchair. Because the guy in the wheelchair comes in and tells you, it's going to be okay. It teaches you how to. I don't even want to see the guy in the wheelchair.
I don't even want to see him. I don't even want to see him.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't.
Because the more you can kind of suppress it, you're like, nah, I'm just normal. I don't want to deal with this right now.
Right, and I thought I was normal, but deep down, I'm not normal. I know what happened to me, and it took a long time to sit in. But with her, I was like, man, just get her out of here. And my mom gave me a certain look like, you need her. So I was like, okay, she can stay. But it was written all over my face, because one thing about me is if I don't like something, there's not putting it. You're not putting it past.
You're not pretending.
Like, I'm not pretending.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna know.
So she comes in there and she was like, okay, what is this? And it could be a red circle. And I know what that is, but I'll just say something out of the blue, like a blue triangle, but I know what it is, and so it'll just be like, and I used to use my left hand to punch me, punch myself.
Yeah.
And so that didn't go too well, but she was like, you have to cooperate. You have to do everything that you're asked. You have to do everything that I'm asking you to do. And so then I would, read more books. They'll, put the books in front of me and I'll read them. And it's just got to the point where the speech therapy, like, you can have numbers 1 to 10, and I know for a fact what they are, but I just couldn't get them out. You
couldn't say the word 1, 2, 3. Like, you knew what they represented. You knew what it was.
What, like, people were just trying to baby me, like, hey, do you know who I am? I used to hate that. I'm like, shut up, cousin. I know who you are. Just
it's I can kind of relate it. Like, I kind of can understand Spanish. Like, when I hear people speak it, but when I try to have a conversation, the words cannot come. Like, I know what I'm trying to say, and I know, like, if you say it, I kind of understand what you're saying, but like, I can't form the correct sentence.
But this was English, and so I knew it. Like, I knew it. It wasn't Spanish because I haven't learned that yet. I'm just like, what in the world is happening right now.
The words just weren't coming.
The words just weren't coming. Yeah. I knew for a fact what they were. And that's what was driving me so crazy, so, mad, because I know what they were. I just couldn't get them out.
And it's weird because when you think of like your thoughts, like we can only communicate what we're thinking in words because that's the only way we can. But it's weird because you were thinking the right stuff, almost kind of like a caveman that can only talk in like grunts and stuff because there's no like formal language that's been established. Like you know what you're trying to, you know what you're thinking, you know what everything is, but like expressing yourself and getting it out there is like impossible.
The way I'm rambling because it's not fixed. So I mean it just comes and goes.
But you're articulate now, like you know you've been doing like public speaking and everything, and obviously we can jump to that, but like you know I wouldn't meet you and automatically I wouldn't assume that you have anything wrong with you, man. Like you speak very well.
Yeah,
like,
thank you.
And I'm sure you've worked really hard on that. I'm sure you're proud of that, but
yes, sir.
You also know in your own head you're like, man, I'm still not fixed because you still have moments
because I still
like that.
have moments that like I still, you know, my train of thought isn't there like it should be. I try to take, you know, pills, you know, just to get my mental back to where it was, you know, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So, like, if I'm rambling, I told
you're good,
I told Drew in the beginning, I was like, if I'm rambling, please forgive me.
No, it's all good. Honestly, like. Podcast is probably one of the best places to ramble.
Yeah.
If you're rambling and you're talking to somebody and they're trying to get out of here, they're like, when's this guy going to shut up? But if they're listening to you on a podcast, man, they're already strapped in.
Right.
So let's move on a little bit. So you eventually, you know, you relearned how to walk, relearned how to eat, talk, all that. When did you had mentioned you were trying to like get on TV to share your story. When did you kind of realize that this was a positive thing and you were going to be able to use this as like a inspirational kind of
when I found out it was a positive thing, I had to stop dwelling on why did it happen to me, because obviously I'm still here, so I tried to play it like, okay, this bullet wasn't meant for me. This bullet was meant for everybody who has a situation or, you know, dealt with gun violence or, you know, just dealt with everything that I'm going through right now, is to share my platform with, you know, people, like-minded individuals or people who need to hear this message. So that's when, but that was later on down the line. I was in high school and I used to be really good in theater. Like very good in theater. That's actually the reason I moved out here. To Atlanta is for theater.
What got you into that?
I don't know. I was very animated as a kid. You know, I was very animated. Wanted to do what I saw. So I was just like, well, let me take my talents to the stage, and you know, won countless awards. You know. And so I was like, okay, won Broadway Bound of my high school. So I was like, okay, well, let me take my talents to Atlanta to see, you know, what can be prosperous for me. But then when I got here, I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
And so you were what, like 21, 22, something like that?
I was 21.
Nice.
I was 21, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna do it. You know, I don't see the point of doing it. You know, and I just really talked myself out of the great situation I was in, out of fear, you know, all that other good stuff, you know, bad stuff. But so I didn't start up my company until spring of 2015, Revive Minds, and I was sitting with my girlfriend. I was just like, hey. I remember where we were sitting at. We were sitting at it's either a Chili's or Applebee's right there. And, you know, we were chilling, and I was like, man, I want to help. You know, I finally made it up on my mind. I was like, I want to get this off my chest. I want to help people. What can I do? And she was like, well, why don't you start, you know, a speaking, you know, and start your clothes. I was like, well, that's already in place, but I just need a name. I need a name to set me just set the bar, so when they hear Revived Minds, they, they get the picture. And so I was just playing with words, and I came up with the Revived Minds, and that was that. And so I in 2015, December 18th, 2015 was a Friday. I got shot December 18th, 2005. It was the Friday before the winter break. And so I left a message with those students. It was a 10-year anniversary. We had press there. We had everybody's there.
Wow.
Just superintendents, family, friends, everything like that. Like, it was basically, I took over the school. And and that was my first powerful presentation that I gave. I gave it to the school that I went to at the time that I got shot.
Oh, damn.
So I was in 8th grade.
You were in Arkansas and you went back to your actual school. Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Was your story kind of like in the news at all?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah. And, newspaper. But after that, I kind of took a hiatus. I was like, okay, maybe I can't deliver that anymore because, it probably won't be as useful, or, it's just self-doubting yourself.
Yeah. I've recently figured out a word for that. It's called imposter syndrome, where you always think you're going to get found out as a fraud. Yeah. Or like you think you're not good enough or whatever.
Right.
I have it a lot. Like, it's funny because like, you come in here like, damn, podcast stuff, you got all this stuff, and I'm still sitting here thinking like, well, I'm not as big as, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I mean? Like, I get that all the time, and it's like, we doubt ourselves. And then there's some people that are out there that have the most self-confidence in the world, and yet they are delivering a worse product or whatever. Right. And that's what always gets me going is like, if you think about what you really strive to do, like for example, I got really into like video editing this year. And one thing that was discouraging me was like, I think about all the people that are way better than me. You know what I mean? Like there's people out there that are always going to be better than me. They're already better than me. They're, I'm never going to get to their level. But there's also people out there that are way worse than me that are making money doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like if there's people out there that are charging more than me, making more than me, and their videos are not as good as my videos, then, I need to get out there.
Exactly.
And so there's always going to be somebody above you and below you. So you got to,
That's why I got, friends. I'm not going to name drop, but I associated myself with speakers, friends that get paid to travel all over the world, because I tell them my story, but their frustration with me, and I know it, is because I won't put myself out there, because like I still feel like it's not that time, but times is ticking, and so I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I have it all together, which I don't. Of course. Revived Minds is the start of something great. I have a program called Revive Our Youth, which we, just talk about meaningful conversations, not just pertaining to gun violence, but pertaining to depression, because I've been depressed before, and things like that, anti-bullying, stuff like that. So, that's what this Revive Our Youth, this program is. But I just had to get out of the whole self-doubt, which I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm not completely out of it yet. Of course,
yeah. I think that's healthy to have a little bit of that still,
Right. And I think being on this podcast, it really, if I can just listen to this, we put it out, just listen to this, I'm like, okay. Yeah. Now, imposter syndrome, cool. I diagnosed it, and now I can move on.
Exactly, man. Because I'm with you, bro. Like, everything is perception, right? Like, because nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody really knows. And so the cool thing about what you're doing, like, I think everybody can get behind it.
Right.
Like, everyone can get behind, like, the idea of educating our youth about, the problems of what's going on. Everyone's talking about it, but no one's, like, doing anything.
Actually doing anything.
And you're, like, literally on the front lines, like, in the freaking battleground, like, actually hanging out with kids, talking to them, going to their school, doing all that kind of stuff. Like, that's awesome. Man.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really important. That's really important work because school shootings, huge right now.
Yeah.
I think kids are probably more depressed than ever, and people just want to
and the
dismiss
social
it.
media isn't helping in a way. It isn't helping. It's kind of giving our youth destructive beliefs.
I think so too.
And parents probably give kids destructive beliefs and just regarding that whole situation.
Yeah.
So and everything on social media is not glamorous. It's not good for them.
Well, we're also still like in the infancy of all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't know the long-term effects of social media. We don't know where it's going to go. We don't know how young should you be when you start getting on that stuff. Like, it's almost kind of like back in the day where like doctors were smoking cigarettes, and like prescribing it as like, it's like, how could they be so dumb? But it's like, we don't, it's just because it's new. We don't know the long-term effects. We don't know. And so like especially with kids, like, luckily for me, when I was in high school, like social media was just starting to take off. Like I think I got a Facebook like in 8th grade, and it was still really new. Like it was, Instagram was like, I don't even think it was a thing really. Like Snapchat wasn't a thing, but like now, everything has evolved so quickly. It's a giant comparison game, like mostly, like Instagram is a giant comparison thing where you're trying to show off, you're trying to flex on people, you're trying to show, oh, I got the new toy, I got the new car, I got the new thing, I got the new girl.
That's what I gotta stop doing, man. I gotta stop watching people and just start putting out my content. I just gotta stop. I gotta stay in my lane. And that's sometimes, I sometimes struggle with that in that regard.
I think the main thing too is like, if you're consuming Instagram and stuff, you got to always have, everything is filtered, right? You got to have your own filter of, okay, this is the highlight reel. This is the best stuff. If you're going through the thing and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish my life was as good as Christian's or whatever. He's doing so much cool stuff. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a cool car, whatever. Like all this stuff, and then it's like, that's just the highlight reel. That might not even be his car. Him and his girlfriend might not be in a good relationship. He might not. That might not be his house. That might not. And I'm not even saying this about you in particular, but like literally just anybody. You got to go through it. You got to go through social media and Instagram and with that filter in mind. Of, that this is the highlight reel, and just because that's what you're seeing on the outside, look at your own Instagram. Like, what are you portraying? It's probably not what you're really feeling inside. And I think it's almost become a little bit cliche in a way where people are posting these captions about mental health stuff and depression and all that. But it's important to kind of like discuss the other side, because it really is easy to only show the 100% best stuff, and that's just like not a healthy. It's not healthy outlook.
At all. Sometimes we need to take a step back and reflect on what we're actually putting out there to the world.
Yeah.
So, just to be aware. But
yeah, and I think also like we're in a very, very weird transitionary period where like our parents and they grew up in a very different time than us.
Yeah.
And then the kids of today are growing up in a very different time than even we did. Like, it's evolving so much that the way that we're all relating to each other is very different. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this all kind of all plays out. Yeah.
God, the next 20 years is going to be crazy.
But to be fair, I think that the young people right now are some of the most like progressive. You know what I mean? Like, I think that young people now are a little more mindful of like, of all the issues that are going on in the world, because it's so prevalent. Like literally a lot of the big issues are in high schools. Like you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with school shootings, you're dealing with social media pressures, all that kind of stuff. Like you're dealing with it at a very young age. So kids are realizing that that it's like a big issue, and racism, all that kind of stuff. Like people are realizing that they can be the kind of change in the world, because eventually they're going to take over.
Right.
And we're part of that too, like we're still super young. Yeah. Like, we can be part of that change.
It all starts with them. And that's what I'm trying to.
When you first started going to schools and stuff, that was your when you went back to your high school, that was the first time you went and like spoke at a school, or had you done...
I spoke with my middle school.
Gotcha.
Middle school, because I was in the 8th grade when that happened.
Gotcha. Oh, so it was your middle school.
Yeah, like the ages of 13. So I spoke to 6th graders, 7th graders, and 3rd grade. I mean, sixth graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. and we just broke it up like that, you know.
Nice.
So
and you said that's kind of like the most moldable age anyways. Like that's the age group that you kind of want to be in with.
Without a doubt. For me, and you know, I ask other people's opinions. They're like, oh, for sure, middle school, because that's when, you know, they're gonna go through puberty. That's when, you know, they're gonna start playing video games or whatever, playing shooting games or whatever. So that's a great time. Listen to, you know, destructive music or whatever like that. It's a time and place for everything. But you know, it's just to get them at that age, you know, before they start hanging with those people, before, you know,
or becoming those people. Yeah.
Nice ad. It's just getting them, you know, prepared, and you know, it's about reviving your mind. Just change the way you think, reverse the way you live. Change the way you think about certain things, and everything will be cool.
Yeah,
everything will be cool.
So when you're speaking to kids and stuff like that, like when you're, you know, you talk about gun violence and all that stuff, but like what is it that you're actually kind of trying to instill in them? Because obviously, like, it's a tough subject and it's a broad subject.
Right.
Like, are you like talking about like actual like laws and stuff, or are you talking more about like mindset kind of stuff? And like
about mindset, like I'm not opposed to, you know, guns at all. You know, I believe everybody should have a, you know, not everybody, but
you should be able to have one.
You should be able to have one.
Want one or whatever.
But I feel like you have to take a class. You have to, you know when to use it and when not to use it.
Like people, a car.
Yeah. People like all the time, oh, so are you against guns? Are you, you know, do you believe that, you know, you should be able to take my you know, the laws away?
You want to take my guns away, man?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not that, but you just gotta be educated on when to use them and not to use them. And you know, if they wanna, it works for different topics. Yeah. So I talk about the guns. I talk about, you know, depression, because I've been there, done that. I teach how people how to get out of the depression that they're facing. I teach anti-bullying. I really wasn't bullied as a kid, you know, because I was like, you know, everybody liked me. So I haven't been through that, but I probably bring guest people, you know, to speak on, you know, my behalf. But the one thing that I just tell them is just, you could be a great kid just at the wrong place at the wrong time. And here is what you do, ... And then I just hit them with the topics. So because, you know, everybody within that age, everybody is just like, okay, they're happy-go-lucky kids. You know, they're not, you know, high schoolers or college goers where they already have their mind made up on what they're going to be and who they're going to be. Yeah. And so, you know, if you just don't hang around that crowd and, you know, stay educated and be who you want to be. I was my own person. And so I didn't try to conform to a gang over there. And people like loved and respected me for it. And so I just wanted to show them, hey, you can do that too. You know, you don't, you know, just stay in your lane. You know you're not doing that. So, you know, just, I don't know. It's very simple for me, but it, you know, other people in certain situations, they might not get it so easily, or they're easily swayed, or, you know, peer pressure, stuff like that.
I think the biggest thing is probably empathy too. Yeah. Like, people can hear your story and they see like, oh shit, like if I mess around with guns or if I'm playing around with bullying, I'm messing with people. You're not only just like being mean and like, you know, that's that. You're like affecting somebody's life. Yeah,
that has a lasting effect on people.
Yeah,
you know,
and like especially with, you know, school shooters and stuff like that. Like, people have really been trying to analyze like what's been going on with that, because that's almost exclusively an American thing, which is pretty weird. Yeah, you know, like, and my personal like opinion on it, a lot of these kids that end up wanting to go and shoot up a school or shoot up their workplace or shoot up whatever, it's like they're angry people, you know, like they're angry at the world. They feel mistreated. They feel maybe like people don't like them. People don't love them. Maybe they've been bullied. Maybe they are the weird kid, the outcast, whatever. And sometimes it's an outlier too. Sometimes it's like something kind of crazy where they're like, yeah, I don't know, this kid was well liked. I don't know what his deal was. He just snapped or whatever. And I think with the empathy, when you can go in and share your story of how that one little decision of how that guy went in and, you know, was being stupid.
Foolish.
Yeah, just being
basically
foolish.
playing Russian roulette with my life. You know? So.
Yeah. And in that one moment, obviously, he changed his life and yours.
Right.
And, you know, I think also maybe even a little bit of it is some kids are bored, you know, like they're almost just kind of like, life is too easy, life is too soft, they got everything they want, they got, you know, there's no problems, like I want something, I want to do something crazy, I want to do something exciting, I want to
spend your life in jail or spend like a number of years in jail.
Exactly, and that's where you come in, is like you can explain that, like that one split second of doing something stupid, being at the wrong place, the wrong time, you know, being foolish, that can have literally like lifelong effects, and kids in middle school aren't thinking about that.
No matter what side of the fence you're on, if you're the
victim
doer or the doer. So it's just about changing your mindset, you know, change the way you think, reverse the way you live. And so I like to, you know, start my, you know, my topic off with that and see, you know, if anybody has any questions. Because I would go talk to the schools personally, go to talk to the students personally, because, you know, I don't publicize everything that I do. You know, I should, but everybody, the space that we're in right now, everything is publicized. And so I hardly ever do that, but, you know.
What you mean, like sharing, like when you go speak somewhere or whatever? Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So
I feel you. You know what I feel like you could probably do though that would be really impactful, because this is something that, like, you know, I don't know, do you know Eric Thomas? Yeah, like Eric Thomas, he'll go into a school and like speak and record and some of those videos go viral, you know, like stuff like that where you're going in and just speaking, like not even just like bragging about like, oh, I went and talked to these students today, but just making the video and posting it or whatever.
He's one of my mentors.
That's awesome, man.
He doesn't know it.
He doesn't know it.
But we've ran across, because my mentors are mentors of his. So
he's awesome. I like listening to audiobooks. I listen to he's written a few books. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of his first ones.
Yeah, I got his audiobooks on my Apple Music and stuff like that too.
He's the man. I really like his like one of the biggest things that stuck with me about his story is like when he was homeless and he was when he got he got a job or whatever, his mindset was, even though my job is like the lowest of the low, I'm working for minimum wage, I'm going to do the best at my job. Right. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. They're like, well, I'm not going to get recognized for anything anyways. Right. I'm going to stick here anyways. The boss is never going to notice me. Why should I go above and beyond when I'm only getting paid?
Destructive beliefs.
Yeah, I'm only getting paid minimum wage. Why would I go above and beyond and do more work? You know, I should be getting paid more. Once I start getting paid more, that's when I'm going to start doing more. Yeah. And it's like, no, man, that's not how it works. You got to like do more, and then you will reap the rewards. You got to go above and beyond.
He had an event last Saturday that I went to. At a church. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
It was pretty cool, man. We had, you know, my mentor Jeremy Anderson, and Willie Moore Jr. And you know, it was pretty good. It was pretty cool deal. Really insightful.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about depression too, because you said like that's one of the things you talk to kids about. And personally, like I've never really dealt with hardcore depression or anything. Obviously, I can relate in some ways because I get it, but it's not something that I've personally like struggled with a lot, and it's something that's come up a lot recently in just the media and in the public, and it's become like a very public topic of debate, and not even debate, but just like public topic. Right. Like what, you know, you kind of explain like to kids like how do you get out of that? How do you get out of that funk? How do you get out of depression? Like I'm sure a lot of people listening will be curious your thoughts as well, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there listening that are dealing with that kind of stuff. So like, what's your advice with dealing with depression and stuff?
What brought me out of my depression was actually music. Music, like when I hear, that's why I'm so passionate about the artists I listen to, because when you're talking about music, like, can nobody tell me anything about music? You know, any genre, anything, I listen to it all. But it was Pharrell when he came out with the In My Mind album back in like 2006, spring 2006, and I was dealing with depression from that, you know, the whole December, you know, and of the previous year. And, you know, you just got to find somebody who you love to listen to. It's helped me. It's helped me a significant amount. But I would say just treat people better. Treat people better. That's how you get out of your depression. And music has played like a significant role in my life as like to battling depression, because I would say him, T-Pain, even the Eagles, old school, the Eagles, you know, Hotel California, like those were the three bands, or like the three artists I would listen to, and so it's just getting out of the blocking everything off and just zoning in. And once I hear a certain song, it makes me feel 10 times better, and so I embrace, you know, do everything. I speak better. I embrace people better. So it's just like find one to two artists that makes you feel like you're like people like Beyonce or whatever. I don't know, but
whatever does it for you.
Whatever does it for you, stick to it. You know. So that's one thing. I also hit on treat others the way you want to be treated. Always go with a smile on your face. You know, you don't have to turn to the drug abuse or whatever. You just gotta find your niche. You gotta find your niche within everyday life and what makes you happy. And if you find that, then obviously you're probably gonna, you know, 9 times out of 10 fight through depression. So that's what I tell them.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's good. Like finding that purpose. Like
music played because I was in the dumps. Like I was the guy that shot me, his face would just appear.
That's crazy.
Just appear. And I just have flashbacks of him just pointing the gun at me. And so I'm like, wow. I thought he, you know, I used to be paranoid. That's why I didn't sleep, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think when he dropped that album, I think that's the album that really genuinely saved my life. Well,
that's
not
crazy.
Saved my life, but just coasted me, got me through depression, because nobody knows that I was depressed because I hid it well. And I was out of the public eye. I will make trips, you know, because I was homeschooled, but I will make trips to my middle school, my old middle school, and everybody just come up to me like, hey, how you doing? But, you know, I didn't have a skull in my head, so I used to wear a beanie, and I was like, hey, back off, you know, a little bit. So
you punch me in the head, I'm
gonna go.
I'm out like a light.
Right. So it's just about, you know.
I don't want to wear my helmet, but stay away.
You know, because I had a couple girlfriends there. You know, I had a couple girlfriends that went to the school. I was a middle school player, man. I don't know where I got that from, but anyway. I'm rambling.
No. I feel you though. But you went back to your.
Yeah, I went back to my middle school, man, and it's just, I was out of the public eye because I would only go do that. My mom was like only taking me there for like once every 2 weeks. So I would do that, and you know, the times that I wasn't there or wasn't homeschooled, I would just have music and I would just listen to everything, but that one album just really saved me, man. So
yeah, the last guy that I had on the podcast, DJ Will Clark, he makes like house music, and that that was one of the biggest things. He's like, people come up to me and they say stuff like, yo, man, your music helped me really get through bad times and stuff. And it's funny because like some of his music, I mean, most of it doesn't really have much words. It's like house music, but like one of his songs is called Booty Percolating. And like it's just funny. He's like, dude, he's British. He's like, I never thought that booty percolating would get people out of bad times.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's true though. Like music has that like strong impact.
Right.
Like, and the musicians are just sitting there, you know, making music, listening to the beat a million times, trying to make some music. They're not thinking about the impact that it's going to eventually have on somebody. But for a lot of people, like, music is that.
When I listen to music, I'm a completely different person. Like, the way it's orchestrated, the way it's produced, like, I listen for beats and melodies and everything like that. And so I missed my calling. I should have been the A&R. I should have been the A&R, or I should have just did something pertaining to music. But that's why I tell people all the time. But yeah, music is the real deal scapegoat for me. For me battling depression.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Hey, that's good advice, man.
Yeah.
And also, it's got to be the right type of music, I'm sure too.
Oh yeah.
Because there is some music that you can listen to and be pretty sad.
Yeah. Don't go all emo. Yeah, you can't
Don't be listening to like Lil Peep or something. That'll get you depressed.
No.
Nah.
Or no.
Listen to some Pharrell. Pharrell definitely will.
Old Pharrell, you know, he just got me there. He just got me there.
I got you, man. Well, dude, this has been a great podcast. I feel like it's a good place to wrap things up.
Yes, sir.
If people, you know, I always like to say leave people with like a final kind of closing message. Like, you know, if there's something that you could kind of say that wraps things up, like what's that final thing you want to tell the world? You know what I mean? Like, what's your message? And I know we've kind of been talking about that a lot, but
have everybody to change the way they think, then reverse the way they live about things. Change their mindset. Change. You know, you might not like something today, but you might not like it tomorrow. Just change the way you think about certain things.
Don't be so fixed.
Don't be so fixed on or have an attitude towards something, because you know you're gonna block your blessings, or you're just gonna block everything that you know. You're gonna miss out what the universe has called on your life. So that's what I have to leave them with.
I like that, man. Yeah. Dude, that's like one of the main goals of this podcast is like helping people change their mindset and introduce new perspectives.
And this is my first podcast, man.
Dude, you killed it, bro.
Yeah,
you killed it.
I think so.
If people want to follow you on social media and all that kind of stuff, where can they find you?
It's going to be Revive Minds, so that's REVIVE Minds, MINDS. And then my Instagram is Christian, CHRISTIAN, Kimbrough, KIMBROUGH, the number 7.
What's the 7? I know you got it tattooed on your arm.
Yeah, man. I was unconscious for 7 days. My favorite number is 7. I'm a 7 in my organization. I used to have long dreadlocks, cut them 7 years later. It's a lot of things that's dealing with 7, and as soon as I got out of that situation, I just saw 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. So yeah, I think that's my favorite number.
I like it.
And you can also tap into my website is www.christiankimbrough.com. All of the good things are on there, like how to book me, or you might want to purchase a t-shirt, stuff like that to help the cause, because I'm trying to build a youth army living in their purpose. And we have t-shirts on there as well, so just contact me about that.
I love it, dude.
Yes, sir.
Well, Christian, thanks for being on the show, bro.
Thank you.
And we'll see you later, everybody. Boom. There you go, folks. I absolutely loved hanging out with Christian and letting him share his story with me. Super powerful stuff. Make sure you go follow him and check out what he's doing. Really important work. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to listen to more inspiring stories of overcoming challenges, then I've got a couple of other episodes that I think you would really enjoy. Number 1, definitely go check out episode 47 with one of my best friends in the whole world, Richard Corbett. Richard is a very interesting dude. He's a super talented artist, fitness fanatic. He's a college dropout just like me. And like you heard in the intro, he's working through a massive injury that left him wheelchair bound. And because he's on this obsessive quest of becoming the best version of himself, he's breaking down his own physical barriers and mental barriers day after day. And he's going to be coming back on the show very soon to discuss his new project called Wheels to Walking. Actually, Richard and I are doing another Wheels to Walking podcast together. That's going to be coming out very soon on Patreon. But in the meantime, definitely go back and check out episode 47 called Progress, Not Perfection. It's a really good one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, you should definitely go check out episode 99 with my friend Tori Madison called Pain to Purpose. And she helps other people overcome fears and limiting beliefs to awaken their passions and rise from pain into purpose. And during this episode, it got pretty emotional. She shared her story of losing her younger brother to addiction, living in Hawaii, the importance of serving, and so much more. And she has a really amazing story. We laughed, we cried, and it got really vulnerable. So it was a really great episode. Go check it out. That was episode 99 with Tori Madison. And if you want to support the show, the best way to do that is to honestly just share it with a friend. The podcast is really growing, but the best way that it grows is by sharing that you enjoyed it with a friend. So if you have somebody in mind that you know would really enjoy this episode, let them know. And also, if you feel like it, go to iTunes and give us 5 stars and give us a positive review. That also really helps with our discoverability. If you want to follow me, you can go to my website, andrewdeitsch.com. Got all the links to my social media handles and accounts there. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm posting a lot of cool stuff on my Instagram. It's at AD Podcast. But thank you guys so much for checking this episode out, listening, watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. You're gonna be out like a light, like, you know.
Hey.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, damn it. Like a light.
Yeah.